Howdy there, party people. What's up? The other day, I saw The Raid Redemption for the second time. I'm so happy that I got to see it a second time. I love the film. I'm giving it a solid 9. I think it's the best film I've seen all the year. Of course, it's a young year, but I think it's definitely the best movie I've seen so far. It's an extremely excellent example of an action thriller. Really, I mean, it is a classic in that genre. So I think it's you know, totally impressive and should absolutely be seen on the big screen. It's important to see this on the big screen, I would say. It's fantastic. The Raid is about a crime lord who lives in a 30-story apartment building. That's his fortress, that's his castle. It is raided by a SWAT team, I guess I could say, of about 30 officers, and that's, you know, pretty much it. You're watching a SWAT team try and take over an apartment building that is filled with outlaws and murderous types, and also regular citizens somehow. But yeah, that again, just to take over that crime lord's turf and to put him out of business. There's also a subplot of family. There's a pair of brothers. One brother is the right-hand man, or perhaps left-hand man, of the crime lord, and the other brother is a rookie on the SWAT team. So they are on opposing sides. So there's this nice little family subplot going on, but this is pretty much straightforward about the action. Again, this is the second time I've seen it. My first review was 20 minutes long, so I'll try not to go that far, just because I love this film. It was produced, written, edited, and directed by Gareth. I wanted so badly to remember his name. He had like 3 names, and now I can only remember Gareth. But he's again, he did it all. He wrote, produced, and I think most fascinating, he edited it himself, as well as directing. So I think that's super impressive, and shows a control of the product, an artistic statement that I always think elevates a film above others. I only know one name, and I made sure I memorized it. He's the lead, Iko Uwais. I'm, you know, perhaps butchering his name, so forgive me, but at least I'm trying. Iko Uwais. He's badass, and I think he's a fine actor. Usually, you know, you don't have to do too much when you're an action star. You just have to do what you're good at, which is like being intense or saying a funny line after you kill somebody. But here, I think he's a solid actor. He shows a lot of depth, at times a lot of tenderness, which you don't really see in such a brutal action film. But I thought he really did an excellent job, and I think it's an excellent platform for him to be seen or shown to the world. He just really nailed it. The director, Gareth so-and-so, is a Welshman. I thought he was Australian, but my viewers were quick to correct me. He's from Wales, obsessed with martial arts films, kung fu films, the films of Bruce Lee. Wanted to do his own film. And do it his way, so he went to Indonesia. This is an Indonesian film. And I have to say there must have been, I wonder how much of the language he knew before he went, because that would probably make for an interesting working experience, especially when communicating with actors. I wondered, was everything translated? Again, I can't wait for the Blu-ray, because hopefully they include some kind of documentary over how this was made, because I would definitely like to see a little backstory. So he goes to Indonesia to make, his dream kung fu martial arts film, and he did it. He pulls it off. I really liked all the acting. It looks good, very well directed, and well edited. This is a film of chaotic action. I mean, it's pretty much non-stop. There's a few breathers, but it's pretty much just go, go, go. And everything is just seamless. You have it. An action film has so much potential just to have you get lost in the action and wonder what the hell is going on. But here, everything is captured perfectly. The fight scenes are just beautifully choreographed. Again, it's like a symphony of violence. Really, I mean, it's a ballet. It's a dance, definitely. A violent one, but a dance nonetheless. And it's just seamless. You can follow everything. You're never really confused. Never once did I say, now what is going on? And sometimes in lesser action films, that happens. For some reason, this popped into my head. Sherlock Holmes 2, recently. Guy Ritchie, directing. And Guy Ritchie is kind of known for an action director. I mean, there's a lot of action to, Snatch and Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. Anyway, and there was some action to Sherlock Holmes. But there were times in Sherlock Holmes 2 that I had no idea what was going on. The action made no sense to me. That I just bring that up as an example, is like there's a lot more going on in the raid than in Sherlock Holmes 2, but I never once felt confused. I never once lost myself in the action. It was always incredibly fluid. The film is incredibly streamlined and fluid. It's an hour and 40 minutes long. It feels shorter. Sometimes that's at the sacrifice of story. I mean, that's the only reason why I can't give it a 10, besides there just being some emotional thing that happens that makes me give a film a 10. But some characters, what I like to call, just transport themselves. We don't really see how they were rescued, or when they exactly joined the group or left the group. They just kind of happen, and you're just sitting there and going, okay, well, when did that happen? But I tell myself that's not the point. It just happened, so that it's done, and they didn't need to worry about it too much. Or perhaps there's a deleted scene somewhere. But that just kind of stuck in my craw a little bit. There was one guy who helps them infiltrate the building initially. Just a random, one of the good guys who live in the building, who live in this terrible, terrible building, again, for some reason. And then so they're on floor 1, he helps them in, and of course as soon as they're in the building the shit hits the fan. But yet he's somehow transported up 6 floors and is able to help them out later on. So again, I never knew how that happened, but I didn't waste too much time thinking about it. There also is this, they rescue a cop who's been hidden away, and again, I thought there was some potential for suspense there, but it just is done. So again, there's just some convenient story edits, but really I think it's again, I told myself that's to go for the streamlined, focused story here, which again I didn't mind too much. The action choreography, I think I remember like 4 names being responsible for the action choreography. One of them being Iko Uwais, the star. They're just amazing. I believe that the fighting style is called Jakarta, something like that. The Indonesian fighting style. Lots of knees, lots of elbows. You know, if your knee can be shoved into a place, you know, they're going to find a way to shove their knee into it. There's also lots of knife fighting in this movie. You don't get to see too much knife fighting, but they use weapons just really quickly, like they, you know, were fists. And even with a gun, they like do kind of like matrixy gun fu, where they would use a gun more like a fist than anything. But the stabbing, you know, there's lots of quick stabs. There's just lots of stabbing, and not only is there stabbing, but there's also stabbing and then slashing. You know, like they, you know, he stabs a guy's leg, and then he, you know, opens the wound. You know, he brings that knife down with as much damage as possible. So it's like, you know, there's a lot of times when that, because I have a particular phobia, fear, whatever you want to call it, of like sharp edges and knives, so that's like particularly nerve-wracking for me, to see so many stabbings and slicing and cutting off of, you know, body parts. You know, it happens a lot, and it, you know, it creeps me out, but it was highly effective, so I enjoyed it. I love the film, you know, I don't know what else to say about it, other than I loved it. I love the international feel. I mentioned this in my first review. You see every color of the spectrum here in terms of people. Indonesia must be a very, you know, much of a melting pot of a place, which makes it seem interesting. Though everyone is speaking the same language, though everyone looks very different. I mean, so that's very cool. It gives it, makes it immediately relatable, I would say, to basically anyone in the world watching it. You can say, oh, well, that, you know, that looks like me. And so it kind of brings you into that world a little bit. I really, really enjoyed that. That must be, you know, unique to Indonesia, perhaps. You know, he picked the right place to make the film, is what I'm saying. He picked the right place, and I think he kind of picked it because he liked that fighting style, if I remember correctly. He wanted to capture that fighting style, as it hasn't really been done. The only films I can compare this to, well, I mean, I thought of Ong Bak. I mentioned that in my first review just because Ong Bak was kind of like a action film that went like, whoa, you know, look at this. Kind of groundbreaking, rule-breaking action film. I think this is superior. I also got a little bit of a nod to Old Boy. Now, I don't necessarily consider Old Boy an action film, though there's certainly action in it. You know, Old Boy kind of transcends genre. It's so good. But there, I felt, was a direct reference to Old Boy that maybe I missed the first time. But Old Boy, I think, is one of the better films of, you know, the last decade. So it, anytime you can think about an amazing film while watching another amazing film, I think that's pretty cool. But I definitely got a couple hints of Old Boy while watching this. And also, just because of all the knife stabbing, I was trying to think of another movie that had so much knife stabbing and so much knife fighting. And all I could think of was, and I can't even remember the name of it, maybe like The Hunted or Hunting. Tommy Lee Jones, Benicio del Toro, they're both like knife fighting experts, and they, Benicio del Toro goes off the map or something, goes insane, and Tommy Lee Jones has to hunt him down, and everyone kills everyone with knives in that movie. So that's, again, because I don't really think of a knife as being a very cinematic weapon. Usually it's a gun, or if it's a sharp edge, it's machete or katana, something like that. Not just like a little short, stubby knife, which they, love using in this film. I don't know what else to say. I really, really enjoyed it. I think there might be a sequel. It seems like they definitely left it open to be a sequel. I think it's, I just think it's tremendous. I don't really know what else to say. It's definitely the best movie I've seen so far this year. Again, I guess it's only April, but I really can't think of a better example or a better reason to go to the movie theater than to see The Raid Redemption. It's a solid 9. Thank you very much.